Welcome to the Liberace Mansion.
Welcome to Under the Vegas Sun, looking at the people, the events, and the news surrounding Las Vegas and the entire Vegas Valley. Hello, I'm Steve Shore. We are live from the Liberace Mansion. The law. Depending on who you talk to, the law has changed dramatically over the past 10 or 20 years. But has it changed for the good? Are we in a position now where the law is what people want it to be? It's an interesting question. Today on our program, you'll meet a man who has become a world analyst on the law and also a very, very noted individual, not only in Las Vegas, but around the country in different parts of the law. His name is Bob Massey. In a moment, you'll meet Bob and listen to his ideas about the law. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Keith Evans at the Lion Habitat Ranch. We'd like you to come out and visit our ranch. There's 38 lions, a giraffe that paints, ostriches, emus, and birds. We do school tours, general admission, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and behind-the-scenes tours every day of the week. Besides coming in as general admission, you can also pay extra to help our animals, and you can feed the giraffe. You can feed one of the lions. Or you can have Ozzy paint a custom canvas for you. You can also buy Ozzy paintings in the gift shop. While we do our demonstrations at 12 and 2 of Ozzy painting, all those canvases are available for purchase. In addition to everything you can do here in person, you can find us on the website, lionhabitatranch.org, where you can make your reservations online or buy your paintings online. Thank you very much. Please come.
Hey, it's Mark Chinook from Monday's Dark, and you are watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Shore.
The legal world we live in, has it changed? It's hard to go by any single day where you don't see some lawyer on TV asking you to help him, or he help you, or find something that he can defend you upon, or maybe even get you money for. The legal world has indeed changed. Has it changed for the good? Our very special guest on the program today is a man who is deep inside the legal world. He's been a top analyst for the Fox network for a great number of years. More importantly, he's been a great lawyer in this town of Las Vegas for more than 37 years. I'm very honored to be able to call him a friend as well. His name, Bob Massey. Welcome to our program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The law in the legal world has indeed changed. Like I said just a few seconds ago, it's hard to turn on TV without seeing some lawyer hawking his wares, asking for somebody to contact them. The question that I have, though, is, has the law itself changed? Is the law the same today as it was yesterday?
The principles of law are always the same, but there's been an evolutionary process as to the interpretation of the law over the years. And that's just the way that the law works. What's changed is what you talked about, and I think it started in 1978, and that's when the Bates versus Arizona came out, which was the Supreme Court saying that lawyers are allowed to First Amendment rights to advertise. That was a benchmark that changed law as we knew it. And there's been other benchmarks over the years. That was the one that allowed lawyers to say, we could go on television, radio, print, and let you know what we do. But then, from the perspective of getting inside the courtroom, the OJ case in 1995 was the next benchmark where the public became entrenched inside the courtroom and understanding it and became sensationalized. And since then, and I covered the OJ case locally in 1995, and then, of course, as years went by, covered every major case on national television. And now people understand courtrooms and juries and things like that.
But the perception of the law has changed as far as John Q. Public is concerned.
That's true.
The question, though, is have we become a more judicious society? Mm-hmm. Is it too easy for people to say, I'm suing. Is that happening because so many attorneys are on TV saying, I'll get you $250,000, I'll get you $1 million. And it seems to me as though people are now turning to that rather than doing what we used to do all the time. It's just settle things out.
I think we've become a society where monetary gains become very important. I think that with the evolution of the internet, Steve, people self-educating themselves on the law, reading about big cases. You could talk to anybody in this country, and what do they remember? They remember about the McDonald's hot coffee case from how many years ago? That's all they remember. They don't know anything else about it, but that's $3 million verdict that, by the way, was ultimately reduced down next to nothing by the court. So you have all this information now that is educating people, and you have all these little lawyerettes, I say, running around thinking they're lawyers, and it sort of promotes it. And as a result, when they read about verdicts and secondary gain, they think, oh, I'm going to hit the next jackpot, and that's what's happened.
I remember being news director of a TV station here in Las Vegas when we fought the first time the courts in trying to get cameras into the courtroom. At the time, it seemed to me that it was just about the case and the public's right to know. I think, to be honest, I was a little bit of a neophyte at the time, and I believed in maybe what the principle of what I was looking for was all about, rather than the reality of it. What we learned through that case in particular, and all the subsequent cases of where there's cameras in the courtroom, is that justice is dealt with differently when there's cameras in the courtroom.
Certainly.
At least my feeling.
Absolutely.
You're an analyst.
Yeah.
You think the same way?
Well, I will say this, that they had to pass laws that say the jurors can't go out and write a book for a period of time after a verdict's rendered on a big case. That in and itself shows that there is a sensationalism, wanting to be a star. When you look back at the O.J. case, Judge Ito, who just recently retired from the bench, look at what this made for people like Marcia Clark, who was a prosecutor in Los Angeles, became a star and very successful, wealthy person after, and all the O.J. team. It absolutely changes. When there's a camera in that courtroom, and of course this is more for criminal cases and sensationalized cases, everything changes. No matter what they say, when that camera goes off, there's a presence there, that's third-party presence outside the courtroom, which is the public. And many times it's played to. Whether you're a juror, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a judge or the participant, it changes the dimension of the case.
It's different. Listen, I can take a camera and I can go walk up and down the Las Vegas Strip. And if people see that camera, they act differently. They know that camera is focused upon them. And they either want to be one thing or they want to be another. The camera is an enticing situation for people to change maybe the way they normally are. A TV show now very, very popular is one called Bull. And although it's just a TV show, it at least is focusing people now on how things can be changed within a courtroom, good or bad.
Well, I mean, psychologists for picking jurors 30, 40 years ago was not even there. I mean, but all of a sudden, when you have the analysis coming over the years, you have different dimensions now preparing for a trial. And you have these analysts that come in, the psychologists, and they help in picking the jury and watch for body language and specific questions and backgrounds. It's multidimensional. I tried a case 35 years ago. You went in, threw them in a can, picked a jury, 2 hours later, you're ready to go, let's roll. It's a whole different world now. And people are more informed now. People understand the system better than they ever did because of what's available on the internet, the videos, the YouTubes, the cases they've watched on television. I covered the Michael Jackson case and Scott Peterson and the other ones, but Michael Jackson case was the most sensationalized thing I've ever seen in my life. People dressed up as Michael Jackson.
To be outside.
To be outside, okay? And it was like, I'm looking at this saying, look how this has changed. They're living the life as if they were Michael Jackson. People are so enthralled. And what we've learned is people want to learn about the legal system because it's always been this star chamber away from people. The camera allowed them inside the courtroom, allowed them to understand the dynamics of the courtroom, and that's why people no longer fear cameras the way they did before either.
There is a system of jurisprudence in America.
There is.
And it goes from the local district courts to the state Supreme Courts to the appellate courts, eventually to the Supreme Court. it seems to me, outside observer, that that system of jurisprudence has changed. You're smiling.
It's completely changed in so many different facets. I think, first of all, if you talk to judges that are sitting and have sat on the bench, you talk to a judge from 30 years ago to today, they'll tell you the dynamic of the juror, their engagement, the way that they see the courtroom. It's just completely changed because the educational level has changed, the exposure has changed, the dynamic have changed, the way lawyers try cases have changed. I mean, it's just, you have to go through it in order to understand it, but the public is infatuated with the law. They want to know more about it. They want to understand it more. And as a result, you have judges now that where jurors are allowed to ask questions in the middle of a trial. They could give a question to a judge, and the judge screens it and decides, yes, you could ask a question. That was unheard of years ago. So there's always, it's a moving target. It's changing all the time. And jurors now, more than ever before, are very smart, Steve.
It used to be that you were adjudicated by a jury of your peers.
Yes.
Have we gotten past that?
I hope not. I still believe in the system, and I believe that jurors, when they take the oath, really are there listening to the evidence inside the four walls of the courtroom. And I believe that that's still true. But I also believe that depending upon the nature of the case and the high profile of the case, they think about other things outside the courtroom that they never did before. Their job has become a little different.
And it's so hard to select a jury today of your peers.
Very difficult because, number one, again, the information that's out there, the kind of questions, what we call voir dire, that we used to ask 20, 30 years, that's completely changed. You have to ask about what you read in the paper, what you see on TV, what you see on the internet, what you see on Facebook. I mean, there's been cases been tried where jurors are on their Facebook page the day of they're being picked, talking about they've been picked as a juror when they're not supposed to be doing those kinds of things. The judges are more challenged, I think, now than ever before to make sure that the jurors understand and respect the guidelines that they must work in. Some adhere to it, and some don't.
There is a part of you that I've now been watching for a number of years now, and that's this role that you have accepted as being a legal analyst on Fox News.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take a break for a couple of seconds. When we come back, I want to talk to you about that role. I want to talk to you about how it impacts you. I have watched you now being an analyst in really influential cases and watch the impact on you. And I don't think people talk about that. So we're going to talk more about this whole idea of being an analyst and what is the law today with Bob Massey. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
I'm Visha Calderon, an immigration attorney. Migrating to the United States legally can be tricky and costly. My firm offers fast, professional, and cost-efficient service for you and your family.
Being a lawyer is tough enough. Being a real estate lawyer, business lawyer, a wills and probate lawyer, being all of those things, rolled in one is even tougher. That's our very special guest today, Bob Massey. Welcome back to our program. I have watched you as being an analyst on Fox News now for a while. In what I have noticed, to me, as you being an analyst, is not only is your expertise challenged all the time about a case, but the separation of who Bob Massey is as the individual from what Bob Massey is as the lawyer becomes tougher and tougher and tougher. Let me give you my example.
Please.
I watched with anticipation. I watched with a little bit of surprise, but I watched with a heartfelt knowledge that somebody who's going to explain the realities of what was there in the Casey Anthony case. Mm-hmm. In that case, I saw you become even tougher with trying to separate the lawyer from the man. Is it just me?
No. As you know, in broadcasting, there are certain moments, and I'll never forget the day. I was doing just fine as an analyst until the day that Sharon Rocha, the mother, was on the witness stand. And you could hear a pin drop. And she looked at him and said, divorce was an option, not murder. And I then got a little text and said, get to the camera immediately. I ran outside in front of the courtroom and I put everything on. And when I went on the air, I was crying.
I saw that emotion.
And I literally forgot where I was. And I broke down on the air and I just basically cried because I said, this was a moment that nobody could ever forget. And I literally had to, at some point, remove who I was, which was difficult because we are who we are, and then get into the effect analytically of what that meant in front of the jury. But I remember my news director, or the bureau chief in Los Angeles, called me after. His name was John Brady, a brilliant guy. And he said, that is a moment in time that not only you will remember as an analyst, but everybody who watched you. It was a mark in your career because it's not often you're allowed to be personal in a circumstance, but you brought the emotion from the courtroom that everyone was feeling and you put it onto the camera.
It was, Bob, I've known you for a long time. It was a reality that I saw of what had occurred that I don't think impacted you until that moment.
No question about it. It was a moment because it was a mother pleading with the person that took the life of the daughter and grandson and said to everybody, why didn't you just divorce her? Did you hate her so much to kill her? And it was overwhelming as a parent who loves his children. And so when I went out there, I was just this raw person. And it was a very tough, I remember it as vividly as I'm sitting here, and it's remarkable that you remember that and saw that because it changed part of my career.
It's the same thing I remember, and I will remember till the day I die, the morning of the MGM fire, and pulling up in my personal car. I was the first reporter there, first newsman there, because I lived right down the street.
1981.
And seeing that reality of what was taking place, I don't think I'll ever forget that. And I think the public sometimes is good to know that what we see on TV does have a real point of view to it.
I remember when I was hired by Fox News, and I will tell you, a good friend of ours, Bob Stoddall, when I started at Channel 8 in 1985, he said to me, and the head of Fox News said to me, be who you are, because people will either turn you off or turn you on. Simple. And most importantly, if you're in the courtroom, bring that courtroom to the people because they're not there, particularly when there's no cameras in the courtroom. And that's what you try to do.
So the analyst within you has this emotional side.
Yes.
From there you go to the property man.
How about that?
Which is more of the side of Bob Massey that has this great desire to help people.
Yeah.
I get the sense that the property man is more of the relief than it is anything else.
It's cathartic for me because my whole background has been from when I was on KDON for many years. We used to do that, and other radio shows, and educating people on television, which I've always loved to do and still do. When I had the idea of the show and I proposed it to Fox News, they were nice enough to give me the opportunity. And it's been cathartic because we're now in the 3rd season. We did 12 shows in Vegas the 1st season, 12 shows in Florida the 2nd season, 3rd season we did in Arizona. And it gives me the opportunity to educate people. And what's so gratifying is you get emails that say, you can't believe how you helped me get out of this situation. Because when you're doing it, you know, you hope people are watching and listening, but people do watch and people do listen.
Listen, in today's world, things like foreclosure, things like bankruptcy, all those things that impact people are personal.
Very much so.
They hurt in here.
Yeah.
When they hear somebody, at least being able to direct them into a better way around it, gives them a better point of life.
And Steve, what was missed in this real estate crisis that happened to so many of us, people that we know, is that when you are losing your home, you are losing the memories
That go with it.
of raising your children and your grandchildren, of the good times, the anniversaries, the birthdays, the Christmases, the Easters, the Passovers. This is what the lenders missed, and this is what the government missed. This wasn't just a home, a house. It was a home with memories.
It's like this house.
It's like
this
here.
mansion.
I feel him everywhere.
This mansion
Okay?
is not just about the couches
Exactly.
or the candelabras. It's about everything that's in
And
here.
this is what they missed, Steve. Now, were there people that should never have owned a home?
Sure.
Yes, we know that.
Right.
But those people didn't get billions of dollars from the government to bail them out. They lost their memories. People lost their credit. People lost their dignity, everything they worked for in their life. I would have people sit in my office crying their eyes out because they couldn't believe they had to miss a payment in order to try to get a loan modification. And their credit was an extension of their ego and who they were. So the property man is sort of a mosaic of all these different issues, of doing from luxury homes to people losing their home to people having to go on with their life. And for that reason, it's an important part of who I am and what I try to do.
You know, I started the program by asking you, is it the same law that we had yesterday? Mm-hmm. And you were very, very honest in your sense about that. Tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the society that was there yesterday? Is it the same things that we had from yesterday to go forward for tomorrow?
Are you asking me if society has changed and affected it?
Mm-hmm.
I watch Andy Griffith and Gunsmoke at night because it reminds me of my foundation. I am concerned, as we all are, with society and what's happened to it and what's happening to it every day. And unfortunately, every new generation have new ways. But I'm concerned that the foundation of what was there, the great generation that raised us, is slowly going away. And I think that all of us are affected by it, from the courtroom to the street. From the street to the home, we're all affected by it.
And from the home to the school.
To the school. The schools are concerned to me.
Big concern. But I want to thank you for being with us. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to now give you an open invitation.
Thank you.
At any time that you want to come back on the program, because I think your insight into what is happening. We haven't even talked about the Supreme Court. We haven't even talked about all the issues dealing with the president. We haven't even talked about the issues dealing with the White House that are so prevalent in today's headlines.
Very much so.
So I would love to invite you back at your convenience at any time, because I think the insights that you have give all of us a better insight into our world, into how we conceive the world around us. So Bob, thank you very much.
A pleasure, sir. Thank you as
I
always.
appreciate it. As
You're the
always.
best.
As always.
You're the
I
best.
appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend.
It's all about knowledge. In any way that you look at it, knowledge today has become even more and more and more critical. Whether you get that knowledge out of this show about some of the people who are on it, or knowledge from the sources that you have for yourself, get that knowledge. It's important. I'll have some closing words in just a moment. News. In today's world, news has become even more important in our lives. Hello, I'm Steve Shore. For some 40 years, Las Vegas has been my home, and it's been good to me. Now, I want to give back. That's why I started the Now Report, the independent voice newspaper, fair, balanced, unbiased, online and mobile, and it's free. The time has come for an independent voice because news is important. Well, as we said in the beginning of the show, the law indeed continues to change. Thank you, Bob Massey, for your insights, for your views, and that very honest opinion about what really the law is all about today. Well, speaking about today, there is some news today about one of the true groups that was started right here in Las Vegas. They're called Imagine Dragons. Actually, they were the first group that opened the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Well, now comes word they are coming back to officially perform in Las Vegas as part of their Evolution World Tour called Evolve. That will happen September 29th right here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena, I am told, and I know personally you don't want to miss this concert. It is the Imagine Dragons. Until the next time, I'm Steve Shore. Be safe and enjoy life under the Vegas sun.
Hello, this is Keith Evans at the Lion Habitat Ranch. We'd like you to come out and visit our ranch. There's 38 lions, a giraffe that paints, ostriches, emus, and birds. We do school tours, general admission, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and behind-the-scenes tours every day of the week. Besides coming in as general admission, you can also pay extra to help our animals, and you can feed the giraffe. You can feed one of the lions, or you can have Ozzy paint a custom canvas for you. You can also buy Ozzy paintings in the gift shop. While we do our demonstrations at 12 and 2 of Ozzy painting, all those canvases are available for purchase. In addition to everything you can do here in person, you can find us on the website, lionhabitatranch.org, where you can make your reservations online or buy your paintings online. Thank you very much. Please come.
Hello, I'm Steve Shore. I've been proud to host the TV show Under the Vegas Sun. We've had mayors and entertainers and some of the true movers and shakers of Las Vegas. Well, we're growing again. We'll now be seen in 209 cities in America through our network, Walk TV, as well as in 6 foreign countries. And in Las Vegas, we'll also be seen 4 times each week on Cox Communications, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m., and now Sundays at 7 p.m. on channels 1096 and 96. I just wanted to say thank you.
This has been a presentation of VATV.